Hey, welcome back. I want to just check in and make sure we're still friends after I subjected you to 40 minutes of Microsoft Word. Do remember that if at any point, if the technology, if the computer, if anything stands in the way of you completing your first draft, just ignore it and keep writing. That is the quintessential thing you need to always aim for. Finish that first draft. I don't care if you're writing it in Sanskrit. That is the most important. Now, here in the final video of this module, I just want to introduce 2 or 3 quick tools that if you're already feeling confident with Microsoft Word, maybe you will love these services even more. The first one is spelling and grammar check using an additional kind of high test feature called FLESCH-KINCAID readability. I was introduced to this within a year, actually, of finishing my Microsoft Office teaching certification. A gentleman from our first year of the book group asked me, "Hey, Demi, how do you find that feature where it analyzes your document and tells you what your reading level is at?" I thought the guy was barking mad, but luckily I approached it not so much with an open mind as at least open language. And I said to him, well, gosh, when we're looking for something in one of Microsoft Office's programs and we're not sure how to do it, we can either open the help window in Microsoft Office or we can search for it or Google it. So in here in Word, I'm going to take our cursor up to the top right-hand corner. You're looking for an area that has a question mark. This is the help feature. And so what I did with him that day is open up the help toolbox, and we clicked in the search box and typed reading level. I had never heard, despite all my experience with it, I had never heard of this feature before. And I saw it test your document's readability. That's fascinating. And I thought, well, okay, maybe there's something to this. And then I saw FLESH reading ease and FLESH-KINCAID grade level. And I thought, oh my gosh, he knows something I don't know about. And so we really dug into that. So I'm going to show that to you here today, so that you can benefit from them, especially if you're writing for one of the children's markets like middle grade readers or something. You can help really target and refine the language you're using in your book. So here's how you turn it on. When you open up Microsoft Word, oops, here I am in Windows 8, trying to get used to that. We're going to go to the File menu. And when you open the File menu, one of the choices toward the bottom of the list, either in the 2007 version, 2010, or 2013. So if yours doesn't look identical, don't worry. Just look for the bottom of the list where it says Options, and we're going to click Options from there. It will open up a dialog that looks very much like the one on my screen right now, dialog box here, and you're looking for a box on the left called Proofing. So we're going to click into the Proofing area of Word Options, and you want to find in the section here, in the middle section, yours is going to be unchecked for the moment. It'll say Show Readability Statistics. You're going to check that box, okay? And I'll show you even all the other crazy things you can have it check your document for. In addition to grammar only or grammar and style, all the kinds of settings you can have spell check and grammar check look for is, hey, did you use the serial comma? When you have a list of 3 or more items, are you requiring a comma before that last item? You can have it always check for that, never check for that, or don't check for that. Have you put your punctuation inside the ending quotes or outside the ending quotes, or don't check for that? When you've spaced between sentences, have you used one space at the end of a sentence or 2 spaces? Now, for those of us who grew up in the typewriter days, we know you're supposed to use 2 spaces. But for those of us in the publishing industry in the last 5 years, you know there are some space czars out there who insist now we only need 1 space. It's up to you at this point. You can also have it check for fragments or run-on sentences if that's something you're prone to. Misuse words. When you use 2 negative words in a row, we call that negation. Don't need none. Some of my family might have said in the past. You can have it check for possessives and plurals, punctuation, using questions. Do you have subject-verb agreement? If you are talking, you're trying to use gender neutral pronouns and you don't want to use he or she, so instead you use they. That's probably going to pop up a subject-verb agreement unless you've been really careful there. You can have it alert you when you've used a cliche or a sentence fragment or gender-specific words. All of these things that have checkboxes here, you can check or uncheck to ignore or to view in spell check. All right. So I'm going to click OK for there, but for sure to exercise this FLESCH-KINCAID readability, you want to have check marked next to show readability statistics, and then we'll choose OK to take us back to our document. Now, here is where the magic happens. We're going to rerun spell check. So I'm going to go up to the ABC spell check here, and I'm just going to quickly take us through the document and say, yep, acknowledging needs to be better. Tuxedo needs to have an E in it, for goodness sake. Stephanie Petros is spelled right, so we're going to always ignore that. Heed is good. I'm just going to pop ahead now. All right, at some point when you've made that last change, you will get the box that pops up at the end of your document, spell check. That gives you the readability statistics. Now, here's what I want you to look for. Not only does it remind you of your total word count and character count, how many paragraphs and sentences there are in your document, it gives you a little read on ease of reading. How many sentences do you average per paragraph across your entire document? How many words average per sentence? Now, if you get up above 11 or 12 words here, this is going to be complicated. So if you write really long sentences, one of the things you can do overall to make your book a little less challenging to read is to lower the number of words per sentence. How many characters per word? If you like to use polysyllabic words, this would be a spot where it would show up. This is essentially very important for people in the children's writers market. Now, what you can get from the bottom here, I want to point out first the FLESH Reading Ease. This is a test score designed to tell you how easily understood your document is. If your score falls between 90 and 100, in this range, you would like to have a higher number to increase readability. So if your number falls between 90 and 100, that means your book would be easily understood by the average 11-year-old student. Not 11th grade, 11-year-old student. Make sense? If your score falls on the range between 60 and 70, then it means it's going to take someone of the age 13 to 15-year-olds to easily understand your document. And if your score falls way down between 0 and 30, that's going to mean that the text of your book really is only going to be completely understandable by graduate students. So you want to be somewhere toward the top edge of the scale here. I'm not going to dictate what your number needs to be, but in many cases, you want to steer higher than 70 and 80 and 90. Those are great places for you to be at. Unless you're writing for middle grade readers who are only in the 3rd grade, then you want your number to be even higher still, above 90 for sure. Then the bottom piece of this box is the FLESCH-KINCAID grade level. Now this is designed to be an equivalent to the U.S. school grading system. So the resulting number that you get here, this is saying that someone, the document that I've written right now would be accessible to someone who is somewhere between 4th and 5th grade. That 4.7 corresponds with the grade number there. This is so fantastic to you if you're trying to devise the perfect chapter book for a 2nd grade reader or a 3rd grade reader. You can really pinpoint ways, okay, is it my words per sentence that are too high or characters per word? This is a terrific little feature you can use very quickly. If you want to learn more about it, just jot down FLESCH-KINCAID grade level or FLESH Reading Ease. There's some really nice explanatory articles, even up on Wikipedia, where you can learn more. All right, fantastic. The second tool that I want to share with you today to save your brain cells and your head from being banged against the brick wall too much is creating tables of contents. This is a fairly complicated and intricate book by a friend of mine, and when she has employed the things that we talked about in an earlier module of using heading 1 for her chapter headers and normal for all the text inside of there. I want to take us up toward the beginning of the document here. We can do it right in front of the introduction. I'm going to remind you, back in that first Microsoft Word, we learned how to insert a section break, next page break. So we're going to go add that now, and then put our cursor up on that new, fresh, blank page that we created for ourselves, and you are going to love this. You're going to love this when you've used that header 1 feature and header 2 for your subheads and the normal text for all the normal text of your document. Take a deep breath. This is fantastic. I want you to go to the References toolbar, and on the very left-hand side, choose Table of Contents, and pick one that you love there. I'm just going to choose the top automatic one. But note that I did not type a thing. Look what's happened. I'm just scrolling back up to get to the top of this very complex table of contents, which was automatically created for me. Hello, wow. You can change, if you don't like it to say just contents, you can change it to say table of contents. You can center it if you like. But what you did not have to do was go and look up what all of the words were of your heading and what page they appeared on in your document. You did not have to know how to set up leader dots in tabs like this. Now, maybe if it were me, I would want the leader dots here to go all the way out to the same distance as the other spaces. It's possible to set that up, but I'm going to tell you right off the bat, for most of what you're doing, it's not going to be a book with this many headings and subheadings, so yours is going to be less complicated. But look how easy it was using that header 1, header 2, header 3 feature and the normal text as you document. How much simpler your life is going to be later on for table of contents. If you're already deep enough in your book at this point where you're thinking about adding tables of contents and you need more information, feel free to email me or drop me a comment in the box below, and I'll be happy to show you even deeper what you can do for this. But for now, it's just fantastic. All right, and then finally, in this module, I also want to introduce you to the joy of the bibliography tool. All right, so here's an example from a lovely young woman's dissertation that she's working on. This ain't your grandma's term paper, I'm sure. If you'll, I don't know, honestly, if you'll ever need to build a bibliography into one of your future books, but if you do so, I don't want you to dread it even one moment, and you will see why very shortly. So, on the References tab, that same place where you found Table of Contents, I'm going to tell you, you can insert a citation. Let's say you're looking at a certain resource about your book, and you want to know how you can add that source. Remember in the old days, we used to send our mom to the store to buy a whole stack of 3x5 cards, and we would meticulously copy down information from the front of our book and from its copyright page and pray we spelled it right so that when we got ready to type it later, everything would be okay. And then we'd have to dig out a paper manual and look up the right section and figure out, okay, should it be last name, comma, first name, where do I put the middle initial, do I include the title, should the book title be italicized or in quotes or all of this. Remember we had to go through that and it was a nightmare and you hated it? No more. Now it's so easy. All we're going to do to add a new citation is come to the button here in the middle of the References tab called Insert Citation. When you're ready to add a new source, you're going to click Add New Source. At the top of the box, you're going to choose what kind of source is this. Are you using something from a book? That's very common. You'll fill in the author's name. If it's me, maybe I'll use my full name here, Demetra Stevens. And the title of the book is Flutist Family Tree. This was my dissertation, and it came out in 2003 in Columbus, Ohio, and the publisher was they're prestigious, aren't they? The Ohio State University. And I simply press OK. Wow, that was great, right? Now, you may be using a resource that is a section of a book or a journal article. Depending on what your resource is, the types of fields that get suggested out here are going to change. What I love, did you notice that it automatically changed when I typed Demetra Stevens? It knew Stevens was the last name, and it reformatted it to be alphabetized later. Fantastic, right? Okay, when you choose a different source type, the kinds of fields that you need to fill in will be added here. So I had a journal article in the National, what do they call that? Journal of National Flute Association. And that came out in 2002 before it was documented. And if I looked up what page it appeared on, maybe it was on page 43, I don't know. But it's as easy as this. To add those source citations to your document, just click OK. And look, isn't this lovely? It knows the exact right way to format and to insert that citation inside your document. But maybe you're not using the APA style manual. What if you need to use the Kate Turabian? You just simply choose Kate Turabian, and wow, you didn't even have to know that Turabian doesn't put a comma after the author's name before the year. Or what if you're using a Chicago Manual of Style? You just change by clicking it on the list. Maybe your dissertation advisor changes, and now all of a sudden you need to produce it to MLA standards. Just choose the citation style that's required from your course. Then I'm going to magically transport us here to the end of the document by pressing Control-N on the keyboard and really blow you away when I take us to the page layout tab and add one more blank new page to the bottom of our document. Here's my cursor with a blank new page. You are going to love this. We're going to add our bibliography now. In the old days, back in college, I'm writing the dissertation, I needed a very tall glass of something to get through this. But here's how you do a bibliography now. After you've added all those citations, you're going to come to the References tab, click on Bibliography, and choose the style of bibliography that you want. And then you're going to do a little happy dance because you're just pressing one click, and there it is, exactly formatted to the standard which you've chosen here on the style setting. So if you need Turabian settings, it automatically knows where the parentheses should be, where the punctuation should be. Is it a colon or a comma after the date? You don't have to decide this anymore. So for any of you who may need to produce a bibliography in the future, breathe a contented sigh of relief. We're not still in high school. And I will see you in Module 6 next time. I hope you have an awesome and productive writing week. I'm Demi Stevens, and hope you write and type and word process with joy. Take care.